This is the best game ever made. Oh hey guys, I was just thinking about how parents always say they don't have a favorite. Well, that's a lie. They do have a favorite. And it's not you. What might I be talking about today, you might be asking? Well, if you had a brain that could deduce already, then I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite games of all time. So, let's start out with my number 10. Need for Speed Underground 2, my favorite racing game of all time, because I am a bit of a racing game fan. I've tried a lot of different Need for Speed games and a lot of racing games, and I can confidently say that after beating this one's my favorite. First thing that makes Underground 2 fantastic is all the different race modes. You have the standard circuit and sprint races, but you also have some unique ones like Street X and URL events, which are like real racing events, kind of. And then you also have drift races and drag races. The customization and the ability to race any car is fantastic. You can make any car in the game look either beautiful or look like a demon spawn. Your choice. Also, the progression system feels awesome. At first, it feels a little slow and unrewarding, but the more and more you go through it, the quicker and quicker it feels, and the better it feels, and the more rewarding it feels, and in the end, it's really fantastic. All in all, Need for Speed Underground 2, top tier racing game, and my number 10 on this list. So, for number 9, we have Luigis Mansion. Hey guys, so next up is Luigi's Sorry, it scared me. You have a sense of uneasiness through the game that makes you feel discomfort and a sense of spookiness to it. It's also a very short and sweet game. It's pretty short, not very lengthy, but it's also really fun. It's great. The gameplay is fantastic, the puzzles are amazing, all the little things you can do in the game is just fantastic. All in all, top tier GameCube game, number 9 on my list. Let's move on. So, for number 8, I have Uncharted 3. Now, I do not own this game because I played it on my PS4 using my brother's account. I played it on the Uncharted Nathan Drake's collection because I wanted to play Uncharted 4 and felt like I needed to play the first 3 games first. And, between 1, 2, 3, and 4, looking back, 3 is by far my most favorite. The gameplay is just like the first 2 games, but a little more. A little more fighting and a little more climbing and a little more weapons, a little more, You also have a fantastic story with some great characters. Also, the game is longer than the first 2. The first 2 games feel kind of short, It feels like it's the right amount of time. You get the right amount of playtime, the right amount of story, the right amount of development, the right amount of gameplay. It's just perfection. Number 7, we have Super Mario Galaxy 2. Wait. Super Mario Galaxy 2? Man, nobody told me Chris Pratt went to space. Nonetheless, twice. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the best Wii game in my opinion. It has fun but challenging platforming, fantastic concepts, and amazing power-ups, and overall is just more of Galaxy 1, but improved upon, and in my opinion, better than Galaxy 1. Number 6, if I can find it, we have Demon Souls, the first Souls game from Software. Demon Souls is a very hard but fun video game. The combat is hard, fun, and a little strategical. Some of it is just dodging and blocking. Sometimes there isn't all that much to it. But overall, the combat's pretty good. It's like you have New Game Plus, you can play the game again, but with all the stuff you had before, you can do multiple different playthroughs, playing as multiple different class types, like as a knight, a magician, whatever. It's very replayable and is a very fun game. Anyway, number 5, Metroid Prime. The most unique first-person shooter that released on the GameCube. Metroid Prime is a great translation into 3D for the Metroid series, and really sticks to its roots with the exploration and fighting, and combat, and shooting, and all the different power-ups to power up your suit and whatnot. And the way you progress through the game, where you start out with a good bit of stuff, but then you lose it all, and you have to try and gain all of it back, and then eventually, in the end, you end up with more than what you had at the very start of the game in the tutorial, I'd say. And the game is also a very fun first-person shooter, even though it has very unconventional controls for a first-person shooter at the time, because the GameCube did have dual joysticks on their controller, but you only use one joystick. It's a bit weird, I know, but it works and it's fun. Number 4. I'm sure you weren't expecting this to be my favorite Mario game, but it is Super Mario Sunshine, the GameCube Mario game. Super Mario Sunshine is quite difficult, but still has fun-to-learn platforming. It has many levels where you don't have the flood pack, which is the main thing you use to platform and traverse, and those levels are very edge-of-your-seat style levels. The graphics are very incredible for a game of its time in 2002. I mean, the water graphics were ahead of its time. It just were insane, and it really fit in with the amazing tropical setting of the game. It also introduced some really cool new creatures and characters to the Mario series, like the Piantas. You guys knew this was coming. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is an amazing open-world game from Software. It's basically like a Souls game, but it's more open-ended. It's a perfect encapsulation of what an open-world game should be. It's very open-ended, no set point where you're supposed to go to. You just explore and figure things out as you go. The graphics are pretty good, but what really carry the graphics of the game are the art style. And you get to see the amazing art style in that gigantic world that Elden Ring has, with so many secrets, and it is by far From Software's best work. Number 2. You guys knew a Zelda game was going to be on here at some point. Well, finally we're here. Honestly, my top 10 would be all Zelda games, but I figured I should probably slim it down a bit, since that would be pretty boring just going through all the Zelda games. It would just be my top 10 Zelda games instead of my top 10 games. But anyway, number 2, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker is the best classic Zelda game and the best GameCube game, with its amazing cartoonish art style, which was very unique. Some people didn't like it, but I think it's fantastic. The world and all the islands, just hopping on islands and whatnot, and the big open sea is fantastic. The dungeons are fantastic. The items and unique features are fantastic. And a lot of those features and items were new to the series, like being able to pick up your enemy's weapon, although you couldn't just carry it forever. You could only use it for a bit and then just throw it or whatever. But that was still really cool to just pick up your enemy's weapon and use it against them. Also, the characters of the game are really awesome and really memorable, like the King of Red Lions, or, Zelda, also known as Tetra. All in all, a very fantastic game, and my favorite classic Zelda game, but not my favorite Zelda game. My favorite Zelda game, which is number 1 on my list, is a not classic Zelda game, but it's still a fun Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is the best open world game I've ever played that completely changes the classic Zelda formula. The exploration is fantastic, and you have so many exploration features in such a huge map and world. You have so many things to do, which gives it a lot of elements of a sandbox game, and you have such lively characters and enemies that have so much more emotion compared to the enemies and characters of previous games. It gives nods to all the older Zelda games, which is neat, but I guess not a main point of the game. But anyway, I'd say the best part about Breath of the Wild that makes it such a fantastic, such an awesome, such a spectacular game that make it won the Game of the Year at 2017 is wind bombing all over the place.